trust is for the foolish and the dead.
Who is Viconia DeVir? Dark, beautiful, apostate, disciple, mysterious, seductive, powerful, and fiercely loyal. Hello and welcome to another one of Legion's Baldur's Gate videos. I recently made a video involving the Viconia encounter in Baldur's Gate 3, and the comments validated my belief that there is a strong opinion about this character. What makes Baldur's Gate companions so interesting is that they all have their own backstory and mission to accomplish. We may be the hero of the story, but our companions are the heroes of their own journeys. Viconia was a companion in the original Baldur's Gate series and was always a favorite of mine due to her backstory and personality. In this video, we will dive into the lore of Viconia DeVir. If you are enjoying our videos, then we sincerely hope that you would consider subscribing to our channel. YouTube is telling me that our videos are doing really well, but only 0.5%, yes, that's not a typo, are subscribed.
Our quest is vain.
Subscriptions are free in YouTube and definitely help support the channel as we still have full-time occupations. We enjoy reading all your comments and we try to respond to each. Now let's continue on to our video. When discussing the lore of Viconia, it is important to go into the games and review the events and dialogues within. There are other formats that can give us information but usually repeat most of what we learn within the games. Spoiler warning, I don't plan on discussing the main quests within Baldur's Gate, but the dialogues do allude to much of what happens, so watch with discretion. We begin by finding her in the woods of Peldvale.
Help me! If you don't help me, you'll kill me!
Calm down, we'll help you. Just tell us who you are.
My name is Viconia. I'm not from around here. Thank you so much for helping.
I serve the Flaming Fist.
Step aside, travelers. I'm a member of the Flaming Fist. The woman you are harboring is wanted for murder and most foul sort. She's a dark elf. It should be obvious she is evil.
They lie. I've done nothing wrong.
What do you intend to do once you have her?
Well, kill her, of course.
Oh, we can't allow that. You'll have to go through us to get her.
A stupid decision. For harboring a murderer, I sentence all of you to death.
My blade will cut you down to size.
I thank you for risking yourselves on my behalf. I know what you are thinking. You see my dark skin and won't trust me for it. I am a dark elf, but I am an outcast. I need your help. I no longer receive my powers from the spider gods. You surface dwellers fear so. The goddess Shar grants me wisdom, and she is a surface divinity. If you let me join your group, I would be most grateful. I have nowhere else to go.
Well, we don't judge someone by their race. We'll take you in.
I won't disappoint you, I promise.
When asked about her past, Viconia reveals quite proudly that she is a dark elf from the underdark city of Menzoberranzan. She says very little about her reasons for leaving that sunless realm, though separations of such a nature are never gentle. She does claim to no longer worship the spider goddess Loth, a change that even you know is often fatal. Her new faith is in the night goddess Shar, an appropriate choice for a Drow, though this is not a firm indication that she has given up on the brutal ways of her people. She finds the laws of the surface world quaint and more than a little strange, but this is simply because of her lack of experience. Likewise, she seems a bit naive about how her race is viewed by surface dwellers. Many will not give her the chance she seems to expect, and even being seen with her may affect how people think of you. You know that as a Drow, she has resistance to magic. The events of Baldur's Gate 1 conclude, and it is not until we enter the city of Athkatla do we continue our story with Viconia.
Look ye all upon this foul drow that we have bound before ye, a creature of evil and darkness, my brethren, a creature of foulness and deceit, bent only on our destruction. This creature has foolishly come amongst us, my brethren, thinking that we would be lax in our senses. Tell me what should be done with it. Burn it!
Burn her! Burn the drow! Aye, burn the elf! Her dark and fiendish kin rose up from their underground homes and killed my father and brother! They are all evil, I tell you, all of them!
Then the drow shall burn! Gather round, my brethren, and witness the will of Beshaba triumph over foul evil!
You Riven are mad! I have done nothing to any of you! I seek only to make my way without molestation. Why have you done this? Why?
Done nothing. You are a drow elf, are you not? That is as good a reason as any.
Ye shall be silent, evil one! The power of the Maid of Misrule will be demonstrated here today.
Aye, burn her now!
Burn her!
No! Now! Ola Plindial!
Spout your evil speech if ye must, drow, but prepare yourself for your journey into the next world. Beg for forgiveness, beg for salvation, and hope that the cleansing fire will save ye.
Shar, my deliverance is in your hands. Wait! I recognize you!
It is I, Viconia DeVir. You must remember, my life depends on it. Please, Legion, I beg of you, save me from this madman.
Praise the goddess! My thanks for your timely intervention.
What are you doing? Why have ye interfered with the judgment of Beshaba? Her will must be shown to the people.
Allies of the foul creature. Allies of the drow.
This can never be allowed! The drow dies!
Ah! Run for it!
Incertus, culture, imperium.
It's done.
I owe you my life, Abil. You have saved me once again. I did nothing to provoke their attack, I tell you. I was passing through the city when the man guessed my identity under my hood.
I was surprised, and he called out to the others, revealing me. I suppose they assumed I was here to spy on them. Fools! They are so quick to fear, these Riven. But come, we must be on our way soon, if we are to avoid drawing another crowd. I distrust these barbaric peoples too much to hang about. The decision, ultimately, is Legion's. Have a backbone, Legion. Take me with you, and I will fight by your side. Together we shall vanquish all.
Certainly. I trust you'll be a worthy addition to our cause.
Kalesusa, intrepid one. A spirited campaign and the pitiless slaughter of our foes awaits. Shar Talum Allah.
I intend to hunt a powerful wizard by the name of Irenicus. It will be good to have you by my side.
Good. I have little to do, and your hunt for this mage shall prove a useful distraction. My power is yours, Legion, for as long as you desire.
This behavior must not continue. Feel the burning stare of my hamster and change your ways.
The biography of Viconia DeVir. When you ask about her recent past, Viconia snarls that it is not your place to know such things of her. There is still pride in her voice when she speaks of her underdark home of Menzoberranzan. But you get the feeling that there is nothing left for her there. Her family and house, most likely victims of typically vicious Drow politics. She has continued in her worship of the night goddess Shar, but that appears to have been the only boon to her exile. She seems sullen and bitter, and has certainly learned much of the intolerance she must face while living among service peoples. Her natural abilities as a drow have faded with time, also contributing to her lost sense of belonging.
So, what draws you to this part of Faerun? At Katla. I seem to recall you mentioning something about a mission or some bother.
Well, I need to know who captured me, for what purpose, and what they have in mind for Imoen.
How are you going to hunt down those culprits who ambushed you? Vermin rarely leave scent or footstep.
The cowed wizards arrested the man responsible for my imprisonment, and will know where to find him.
The cowed ones are not to be taken lightly. It's whispered how their power is boundless, and their allegiances are only with the powerful.
It's a strange time along this Sword Coast. The brink of war was averted, but the countryside remains hazardous to the citizenry.
War? What are you talking about, Viconia?
The war your half-brother nearly started. What do you think I was speaking of?
Why bring it up? I killed Sarevok. His plans for war died with him.
Perhaps his war died. This does not mean other conflicts won't arise. Perhaps I ramble on. If you wish, I'll stop bothering you.
No, tell me. What have you been up to since all the trouble with Sarevok happened?
I have been a lost soul. When your race is used as a boogeyman, it is an uphill battle to even find a bag of dirt on a stable floor for the night. Children throwing apples, merchants loosing their hounds, hunters with their arrows. And for what? Tales around the dinner table? A few guffaws at a watering hole? It has been trying past endurance, Legion.
Well, how have you survived since we parted ways?
I made the attempt to purchase land on the outskirts of Beregost. I dropped your good name whenever necessary to remain on steady footing locally. I remained hooded at all times, and it was only a matter of time and materials before I would own my own homestead, away from prying eyes. I was not looking to be a farmer, of course. I just wanted a place of my own, where I could find peace. My neighbor was Roran Midvallow, a stout, sunburned farmer. We spoke often, and I allowed the male to bring me supplies that I needed but could not acquire.
Go on, Viconia, please.
Over time, we formed an awkward friendship. He did not ask why I wore my hood, and I slowly began to trust him. He wondered, though. That was obvious. The time to reveal myself as a drow came one late afternoon. A warm day, the sun was dappling along the south quarter of his farmland, and I pulled down my hood. Then he smiled a warm, inviting smile. He mentioned that his younger son, Giscanan, was busy making a feast to burst the first button, and that I was invited. We walked to his farmhouse, where his other son, a surly oaf named Funard, was sickling quackgrass in the front yard. When I reached his farmhouse, I learned his true intentions. Somebody hit me in the back of my skull, and the ground rushed up to meet me. I had grown weak in my trust. They chortled as I lost consciousness, saying how easy it had been and congratulating each other on a fine catch.
What happened next, Viconia?
I woke up to searing pain. While unconscious, they had abused and tortured me. Then tried to bury their sins. I could see nothing except for the lid of a coffin. They had buried me alive. A mistake not to kill me outright. The fools knew the name, Drow, but were ignorant of my true spirit. Pain is the handmaiden of my people. Their tortures were amateurish in comparison. I split the coffin lid and let the earth in. I clawed to the surface, and pain did not slow me. I would not let weakness deter me from vengeance.
What did you do then?
I took my revenge, Legion. I watched their house, listening to them celebrate their victory in the midst of drunkenness. I watched and I waited. Giscanan, the younger son, left to use the outhouse. I jammed a stake in the door, trapping him inside. Then I set the building aflame, Roran came running, yelling to Funard. As he stood helpless before the flames, I wrapped a garrote around his neck. I whispered to him of his mistake and mine. He had underestimated a drow, and I had trusted foolishly. I tightened the wire until he breathed no more. By this time, the elder son, Funard, returned with a bucket from the well to find his father's corpse and his brother a smoldering ember. He dropped to his knees in shock, which afforded me a height advantage as I caved his head with the miner's mallet.
I am glad that you had your revenge.
I am Drow, and I let myself be lulled, foolishly. The vengeance was bitter, Legion, because my own stupidity had made it necessary.
Viconia is a person of determination, self-awareness, and wisdom beyond her years. However, she has had few moments of respite since leaving the Underdark. The only time Viconia has maintained some semblance of sanctuary has been when parting with our hero, which might have explained why she was eager to call us over to aid her. Viconia is wary of trusting others, as she has been betrayed by every individual and deity to this point. However, Viconia has a habit of turning on others prior to being betrayed, so we should be careful in our dealings with her.
I wish to apologize for attempting to unburden myself upon you before. I was foolish to be so weak in Beregost, and worse yet to speak to you about it.
Talking is no weakness, Viconia. You went through a horde experience.
I have had nothing but ill encounters with surfacers since I fled Beregost. Their constant spite burns within my soul. I spit upon them. Oleth Plin Nina. My entire existence has been thus since I fled the Underdark. Surfacers hate the Drow without relent, and I erred in thinking otherwise even for a moment.
Not everyone hates the Drow so completely, Viconia. I don't think you're so terrible.
You would think me terrible enough, Abil, if you knew enough about me. I am Drow. Make no mistake about that.
I've been watching you for a time as we travel. You have a pleasing look about you, I think. The sort of musculature that does make a woman swoon with desire.
Truly, you find me desirable, do you?
Perhaps. And what do you think of Viconia, Does her ebony glow spur your lustful thoughts? Does her sharp beauty give you singular twinges of desire?
I think you are the most exotic creature I have ever laid my eyes upon.
You are coy, yet you stare from the corner of your eyes. You are a salivating dog. But I'll be sure to offer a pleasing view for you now and then. Not that I would deign to lie with a dog such as you, lowly male. Now turn your eyes. My skin crawls from your attentions.
I have acted poorly toward you. I wish to apologize.
You apologize? The great and haughty Viconia?
Certainly. Make fun if you wish. But you did not deserve my insults. You are the only surfacer who has treated me fairly and not demanded something in return. You are not too bad to travel with. For a lowly male, that is.
Had to add that last bit, eh? I accept your apology, Viconia.
Yes. Let us continue on our way then, Legion. So, it must take a very driven man to lead his life always on the road.
Well, that is the type of man that I am.
Yes, I have noticed the type of man that you are. Intense, determined, strong. All of the qualities that I have grown to like most in Kornbluth exist in you.
Does Kornbluth mean outsiders? I thought you didn't like the qualities of any non-Drow.
True for the most part, but I look upon you, and I see great drive and determination. This is something the elven folk do not possess. Our long lives are static. We feel no urgency. Despite appearance, we become complacent. If the Drow had your drive, it would be a second age of conquest.
I'm so glad you approve.
It is unfortunate that the good traits of most Kornbluth are held in a pale little lives, no longer than a firefly's. Here and there they flicker, then sad death.
You could try a bit of humanity yourself, Viconia.
Ha! Your sentiment is simple, the philosophy of a kitten. If I gazed into your ear, would I see aught but the gelatinous and cowardly goo within? Laughable.
I have been thinking, and I think that I may have been exceedingly harsh in my treatment of you, once again.
You spit your venom in so many directions, Drow. I find it surprising that you think none would fall on him. Perhaps you think your motives are not transparent.
As transparent, perhaps, as your need to muscle your way into the business of others, you have the temperament of a high-strung poodle, druid. I find it surprising that your husband lived as long as he did.
Calm yourself, half-elf. You earned this anger by disrupting my words to Legion. I was simply saying that I regret my earlier words to him, and I regret little.
Don't worry about it, Viconia.
Understand, Legion. I have not been on the surface for all that long. Sometimes I forget that things here are different from the world I once knew. I have toyed with your feelings unfairly, placing you down with the other males I have known, and you have not been like them. It was wrong of me.
I guess it's understandable. Don't worry about it.
What? No hatred or righteous indignation? Such meekness is pathetic and weak, Legion. If you showed anger, I would expect such and accept it. This acceptance of yours is much more difficult to take, but I suppose I should be grateful for it. But before I retch out of pure disgust, let's just continue on our way.
Have I ever told you about how I survived when I first fled to the surface?
No, you haven't.
It was difficult, if you can imagine. I knew only a few words of common, and as I traveled, I carefully avoided contact with the surfacers. The land was strange, and each day I huddled under the terrible open sky, sure that I would be pulled into the vastness of it, if I but closed my eyes for an instant. Loth had abandoned me, and I was alone in a strange world. Those Riven who saw me hounded me with abandon, and I fled to the forest. There I was hunted by the Darthir, surface elves, and their honed hatred drove me further. I was sure I would perish, never to see the Underdark again.
What happened next?
A group of gold, you call them goblins, tried to seal my fate, but a human merchant came with his caravan, and his guards scattered them. From a distance, he had thought me a surface elf. Surprisingly, when he learned I was Drow, he offered shelter. It was a sanctuary while I learned the human tongue. He was Kalashite, I believe. They are fond of slaves. The price for my safety was the favors I bestowed. Erotic arts that the Drow have honed for an eon. Does it amuse you that I had to run my dark hands along his sweaty folds and tickle him artfully with my tongue, that he exerted himself wildly as I passionately bit his shoulder?
I suppose you did what you had to do.
Actually, I rather enjoyed it. He was quickly my pawn, and the caravan went as I wished. Alas, his heart gave out one night. The guards thought it murder and chased me away. Oh, do not look at me in such a manner. Does your manhood wilt from the talk of using Drow knowledge of the erotic to survive in your world? Is it so terrible?
Not at all.
Good. I am pleased you have some sense. Or is it that you wish to partake of the same pleasures? Is that what I see? Perhaps another time, Jean-Luc.
Tell me, has there ever been anyone special to you? A thief of your heart?
I don't know. Not so far there hasn't been.
Never a special one who awaited her hero's return? The idea has value. I myself hope to retire to a home that does not change by the day.
There may be such a woman. It could be that the answer to your question is playing itself out right now.
You think so? I cannot wait for the final act of this play. I am sure it will be worth waiting for.
No, it will not disappoint, I'm sure. I've rehearsed the scene in my mind time and time again.
Your heart is heavy with lust and burning desire, and beats proudly and strongly. But shall it be mine, or is it another's?
All right. My heart is not your plaything just yet. So let's move on, shall we?
Let's continue holding your heart and testing its mettle, but with a measure of restraint then.
I have little interest in restraint. Only bold and forthright action matter in times such as these.
There is all manner of mad and chaotic trouble that such unbridled enthusiasm could get us into, Legion.
All right. Enough. I lay here defeated by your double entendres. I cannot keep up.
Have I exhausted your endurance so soon? I must test your fortitude in more physical endeavors in the future, yes? Let us continue our travels then.
What was life like before you were an adventurer? Didn't it seem simpler, less complicated?
What do you mean?
Didn't it seem simpler? Easier in flavor? There were less entanglements, far less chaos. We weren't always exploring some dank, ruined place.
I would settle down if I had the choice. Yes.
It would be nice, wouldn't it, Legion? To leave the insidious schemes and psychopathic madmen for others to battle and prevail over?
I suppose that would be something to think about. There are many things about this life I would like to leave behind.
That is an offer worth bearing witness to. It merits serious consideration, Legion.
I would think so, Viconia. I trust your wisdom more than most.
I will definitely consider its value and place in my life, Legion. I appreciate your words of friendship as well. They are not words I am familiar with.
I wouldn't mind changing the definition of our friendship.
Perhaps, Legion. I promise nothing.
I'm wondering this. Do you ever entertain the notion of marriage?
Of course I have. Who doesn't?
I don't mean necessarily merely settling down. I mean a union witnessed by sacrament and ritual, such as is custom among your kind. To commit to one person in all manner? It seems a bizarre internment to me, tantamount to slavery.
You obviously don't understand the nature of marriage.
Variety is the spice of life. The drudgery of having the same partner. It would have to be a unique and special person, indeed.
Why? How do the Drow treat marriage?
My people have a peculiar approach to the ceremony of marriage. We choose and discard mates freely, always with the possibility of renewal and change. Usually a decade, perhaps less, and it is on to the next likely prospect. Marriage is a transient union, usually a gratification and indulgence. The male is only present for servicing the female's needs, and for procreation or recreation, depending on your disposition. From what I've seen, surface custom is not so different from ours. Of course, Drow culture allows for husbands to be disposed of and replaced.
Are you saying that the Drow women actually kill their husbands?
If they deserve it. Placing demands on a woman of the house is not done. To voice protest about the wishes of the matriarch is punishable by execution. I had 4 husbands during my life in the Underdark. Before the fall of House DeVir, I killed each one. 3 for sport, and 1 for infidelity with my sister. The second last to die by my hand was Riklonium, a devious, controlling snake whose head leapt from his shoulders with a look of surprise I found most humorous. And my sister's suitor, Gonf, was prodigiously endowed but bow-legged. And Obluth, an outcast. She must have heard us in bedchambers, and couldn't help herself. Of them all, my sister's betrayal was the most difficult to deal with. I didn't wish to, but punishment had to be administered. I caught them together and bound them where they lay. I soaked them in lamp oil and flammable moss and set them ablaze.
I assume Drow custom dictated that you had to kill your sister and husband.
Perhaps. I haven't devoted much thought to it, though I've noticed that the role of the male and female are reversed here on the surface.
Any man who gains your affection is one who would do well to watch his back.
Well put, Legion. I am not so insipid as to not realize that things are different here on the surface, however.
I have been thinking about the divinity that flows through your veins.
Does it fire your ambitions, Legion? Is there a lust within you superseding mere passion? A desire to lord over others as a conqueror and superior?
Yes. I intend to have power for myself.
You wish to have power, do you? I think it is disgusting that a lowly male would desire to rise so far past his place. You are nothing like Shar or Loth.
Please, disregard the things I said to you earlier. They were ill-conceived. You are not Drow, and not worthy of such insults.
Very well. Apology accepted.
Thank you, Legion. I shall attempt to be more grounded with my thoughts in the future.
I have been told a little about this Baal of yours, but I am unfamiliar with him. Among the Drow, we are taught nothing of other gods, and little enough about our own gods, beyond Loth.
The Drow have other gods besides Loth.
Yes, gods like Gondar and Varen hold some power, but Loth is the strongest by far, and forbids even their mention.
Why did you not turn to one of them instead of Shar?
Nightsinger is a mistress of darkness and loss. I was born of darkness, and I have lost much. My faith, my home. Shar has returned much. I am grateful to her.
You speak as if you miss the Underdark.
It is difficult to describe. The Underdark is a place of great evil and danger, but it is also of beauty and wonder. Would you like me to tell you of it?
Certainly.
Deep Drow is inelegant when discussing beauty, but has 70 words for cruel. Few of my sisters prize the sights of our dark world, but I ache for them each night. The undersea of Laratrek, for example, defies words. To sail across takes 2 days, Luent to Linoan, east to west. 3 days, Trezin to Wereneth, north to south. Massive stalactites overhead shimmer from the bloodless pallor of the lichen, and as you sail, a bleak, dead world flows beneath, the playground of blind fish and fallen deities. I remember also the crystal spires of Ustalat, a pinnacle of architecture, living crystal pruned and gardened with gems and a master jeweler's care. It spoke of defiance. But these images pale before the memories of the Spider Queen and the worship I began so young. Beauty is difficult to find in the blood that I let flow in her name.
I thought you enjoyed killing when you worship Loth.
Do not be a whale, a fool. I enjoyed it well enough. I killed for sport and necessity, but I took no pleasure in sacrifice solely to satiate her endless desire. And I was but a child when I began. I was taken from my mother, brought to the temple, and attended to by the priestess who adorned me with the black robes. They took me to the Orlenigan, the sacrificial altar, where a surfacer screamed in agony, and for the pleasure of Loth, I was given a spider dagger to end his life. This human was but a cool gobus to me, but it felt wrong. He was bare and chained, helpless. His tears ran freely as he begged for mercy in his unfamiliar tongue. But the matron mothers were there to judge. Obedience was required. Hesitation was death. It must be done, and in a manner that would please Loth. Cold, clean, and final. He screamed as the blade entered, and spat blood when I punctured his lungs. To the delight of the matron mothers, I pulled his heart out, still beating.
There were many sacrifices, weren't there?
I sacrificed many, Drow and Surfacer both. The ichor flowed freely to fill Loth's insatiable rage. The caverns are red in my mind, their beauty a bloodied and calloused joke. It is the Drow way, but that is behind me now. Let us continue our travels, Legion.
We are beginning to see the inner personality of Viconia. She enjoys her life as a Drow, and many of the things that came with that title. What she did not appreciate was senseless activities that did not advance her position nor the Drow race. She was born into the service of a goddess that required unquestioned and often pointless acts of cruelty that did not demonstrate nor require faith to accomplish.
told you how it is that I came to flee from the Underdark.
No, you haven't.
I had worshipped the Spider Queen for an age and a half, longer than you have been alive. But there came a time when my faith in Loth was no more. I lapsed when a child, a baby, was to die. It would not have made Loth stronger or more influential, or made her a greater deity. I lost my will that day. One of the lesser priestesses noticed my hesitation, and she took the babe's life herself, eager to usurp my place in Loth's favor.
That's a terrible story, Viconia. What happened then?
My house had fallen into disfavor with the Dark Queen as a result of my actions, and the word spread throughout the city. My mother scrambled to make sacrifices of wealth and servants to appease Loth, but the goddess would have none of it. As is custom among the Drow, the weak become the prey of the faithful. A lesser house jumped at the opportunity and began a war with ours. Loth was pleased at the house's aggression, and ours had to fight twice as hard to survive and regain Loth's favor. My mother wished me to recant, to prostrate myself before the Spider Queen and beg forgiveness. She was desperate that I do so, in fact. But I refused. I was disgusted with my queen, so I cursed my mother and endangered my house. In my naivete, I thought that I would survive after my actions.
But you obviously did survive. What happened next?
No. The memory of the events fill my heart with bile, Legion. I cannot continue. Another time, perhaps.
This was a pivotal moment for Viconia. Although we could interpret her hesitation as a semblance of compassion, she is clear about saying that the sacrifice would not have made Loth stronger, more influential, or a greater deity. If Viconia had blindly followed orders, then there may be no telling what Loth would have ordered her to do. We will revisit this perspective, as it is important in the analysis of her point of view and why she chooses to do things that may seem questionable later in life.
I am ready to continue my tale, if you are willing to hear it.
Certainly, Viconia. I'd be interested to hear it.
Let me see. I had told you of my mother, correct? That she was desperate to restore Loth's goodwill to the House DeVir, and I was proving uncooperative. My mother did the only thing she thought she could do, of course. She commanded that I be offered as a sacrifice to appease the Spider Queen. I was surrounded by male soldiers who attempted to cart me off to the temple. I hated my mother, but I knew that she did the right thing. I knew that my queen would indeed be pleased by one of her daughters being offered to her. I fought grandly, killing many of the males, but it was futile. I was overwhelmed, dragged to the temple, and splayed across the altar in preparation for the priestesses to take my life. I was frightened, terrified, in fact. I would have died, in fact, if it were not for my brother, my poor, foolish brother, Valas.
Your brother saved you. I take it you were close.
Yes, he saved me. I am sorry, Legion. I do not wish to continue discussing Valas. Excuse me.
Tell me something. Did you have much of a family?
Why? What brings this on?
I cannot understand the relationships. The closeness that the families of the surface retain with each other. In the Underdark, things are very different.
What was your family like then?
My family was much the same as any other Drow family, which is to say it is nothing like what you know a family to be. Children are raised by the priestesses or the matrons of the house. There is no affection or loyalty. All exist to serve Loth. Even as one grows older, one is little more than chattel to the house and the greater glory of Loth. I had 14 sisters, and each one was more of a danger and a rival than the next. Most of them perished young, many by my own hand. Fathers do not exist as you know it. The males service the matron of the house when she wishes to conceive, or when she desires pleasure. Indeed, Drow males are educated in all forms of erotic pleasure. They exist to please women, and live or die at their whim. There are normally no brothers, although some males are favored more than others. Most simply exist to serve the queen and the house. But this is not always the case.
You mentioned your brother before. He was a special case?
My brother, Valas, was an exception to the standard Drow male. He was my childhood friend, and perhaps my only friend, after all is said. As a boy, he would set cantrips about the royal hall, giggling hysterically when a hapless handmaiden would stumble on a colossal sulfur stink glamour. As an adult, he was a useful wizard, and amused my mother enough that she did not sell him into slavery. He watched over me and protected me, and I ensured the worst of the abuses that befell males did not strike him. In the end, he saved my life. He prevented my sacrifice and killed our mother, giving me the opportunity to flee.
What happened to him then?
He no longer exists, Legion. I am cold and tired, and no longer in the mood to speak. Excuse me.
My brother is what finally made me break my faith fully from the Spider Queen. His actions, I mean. Saving me from sacrifice.
I thought you lost your faith when you refused to sacrifice the baby.
I had begun to question Loth's appetite for power and absolute devotion with the child, but I did not cast her out of my heart fully until Valas saved my life.
Why would your brother saving you do that?
Valas used his magic to free me, and when my mother became enraged and tried to stop him from ruining the house, he killed her. It was the ultimate act of defiance for a Drow male, and Loth did what she does to all males who defy her. She transformed him into a Dryder, a half-drow, half-spider creature of pure malice and base instinct. Valas was wiped away, replaced by this monstrous thing. I cursed Loth's name for what she had done to him. I renounced the Dark Queen with every fiber of my being, and she was not pleased. She abandoned me, left me completely without power. I had no brother, no power, and the House DeVir was, as far as I knew, falling. I was forced to flee the Underdark, making my way quickly to the surface before the other Drow could stop me, cursing and crying the entire way.
Without your power, that must have been a difficult journey.
Yes it was. Never have I been more terrified, until I found the grace of the Night Singer. Come, Legion, the road beckons.
Drow society is extremely matriarchal in design, and houses vie for power and look for any opportunity to advance themselves in order to gain the grace of Loth and rule over others. The Drow have been conditioned to see themselves as superior to any other race, and even among their own people, there is a strict rule of hierarchy. Viconia specifies that although she was beginning to question the requirements for absolute obedience to a sadistic and illogical goddess, it wasn't until Viconia's brother chose to defy all Drow tradition and law by intervening with his magic and disposing of his own mother, the head of the House of DeVir, in order to save his sister from execution. Loth was enraged by the insolence of a lowly male and turned him into a mindless Dryder, a monstrous being of the darkness made up of half spider and drow. Perhaps it is guilt for Valas's condition that she then shunned her goddess forever and found comfort in the Night Singer. Although Viconia was alive, she had no house, no power, or way of negotiating the Underdark alone. Her desperation must have been unimaginable.
If you would please sit with me for a moment before you retire, I would be thankful. I find myself uncharacteristically overcome with anxiety, and I'm not eager to be alone for the evening.
Well, certainly, Viconia. You're shaking. What's the matter?
I have been thinking of Loth. She is cruel, not known for forgiveness, and always takes revenge, collecting the lapsed and fallen. I know she will come for me.
What makes you think that? Why would she be so interested in you personally?
Because she never forgives a trespass. She keeps a frightening thrall over her sect, visiting from the demon web as often as a peasant visits the greengrocer. She will answer any summons simply to make a vainglorious entrance and impress the gathered. I have seen her power, what she does to those who fall from grace. It is because I have seen, because I have felt the lash of the tentacle rods, that she will leave me to think I am safe or free, and then she will come for me. I dream of Velas sometimes, and I try to speak to him in my dreams. But he is only a monster now, and I scream when his horrid spider legs caress me. I think, what can Loth do to me if she has done this to Velas? What worse torments await me when she finally decides to come? Legion, I am frightened to my very core. Do not leave me alone. Stay with me this night. I need to feel your flesh next to mine, to embrace your strength.
All right. I will stay with you, if that is what you wish.
I do. Come to my arms out of view of prying eyes. Place your hand against my darkly trembling heart, and I will show you the boundaries of passion as only I can.
Finally awake. I hope that your pathetic exertions of last night brought at least one of us some measure of pleasure.
I enjoyed myself just fine, thank you.
Ah, yes. Smile and gloat that you have conquered me while you can. My skin crawls at the mere memory of your rough hands having their way with me.
Well, you seemed to enjoy yourself last night.
Artifice, fool! An effort to push you more quickly that you might pull your putrid and sweaty form away from my presence. The very sight of you disgusts me.
I don't believe you, Viconia. You opened up to me, and now you snap shut again? Why?
Do not attempt to render judgment on my mind, imbecile. Just leave me be. Let me scour the stain of your touch from me, and be done with it.
In a moment of vulnerability, Viconia expresses her fears and falls back into her Drow training in order to comfort herself and perhaps manipulate the child of Baal. Viconia awakens to regret. She has shown weakness and tries to prevent being preyed upon again by those she trusts most. Fortunately for our hero, Viconia will only romance a male of human or half-elf background, and she still carries the opinions of a Drow, where every race that is not Drow is beneath her. However, we are the child of Baal and carry a distinct presence wherever we go, and Viconia feels that wake and will make an exception for us. Viconia has had almost no knowledge of any gods outside of Loth. It was forbidden. She has been given background information about Baal and has seen our power both in and out of combat. Viconia must be wondering, what future is there with such an individual?
I have been thinking about how you have refused to take up your destiny as the son of Baal.
You have no impetus to carve an empire, and you are certainly no lord of murder. I have decided that you are weak and cowardly, and not fit for the god's blood flowing within you.
What brings this on?
You nauseate me, Legion. Is that not reason enough? I look upon you and I see something that I would rather squish under my boot.
Again, you snap shut on me. Is it so hard to deal with someone as confident and equal, Viconia?
Ah! How irritating you are when you presume so. Get away from my sight. Away!
Do not stand so close to me. It is bad enough that I have to smell your stench on the occasional breeze. Must I also bask in your rancid aura?
I'm not even near you, Viconia. What twisted game is this?
Never mind. Legion. Leave me be.
I have a confession to make to you. Give me your ears for a moment and listen, if you possess the sense.
I am listening, I suppose.
You wish to know me? You wish to learn what I like? I shall tell you the truth of it then. I have lied to you, Legion. Lies upon lies. My tale of the farmer in Bergerost? A lie. I lay with him many times, seducing him to get the things that I needed. It was his wife and the townsfolk that drove me out. Like a succubus, I have whored my way to Alm, taking whatever favors I could gather through sweat and passion. I earned passage with tongue and moans, Legion, with more males than you can count, and you are nothing compared to them, any of them. So, then, what do you think of that, Legion? What do you think of me now?
I think you are lying. Why are you trying to push me away?
I am telling you that I have had riven by the dozens, that I have allowed their saliva to cover me, allowed them to use me for their pleasures, and I enjoyed it. I am a creature of dark lusts, you fool. Why are you not disgusted by this? Turn away from me, spit on me, and curse my name. I command you.
I am not those other men. I have seen the true you that lies within, and this is not it. You do not need to do this.
Bastard! Stubborn bastard! Jagkales Zawela! Why must I trust you? Why? In trust lies death. Leave me alone. I will not be dominated. Stay away!
I cast my white flag before you. I can struggle no more. You have defeated me.
What are you talking about? Defeated you?
Yes, defeated me. I do not know what it is about you, Legion, but I opened up to you. I let you inside with honesty and candor. I am not used to such. Trust is death. I have been betrayed again and again, and yet I began to trust in you. I could not allow it to happen. I was confused. I tried to drive you away. Those things I said when we last spoke, lies. I told you the truth of things the first time. You saw through my deception and would not be driven away. I owe you so much. You are a safe harbor in a storm of terrifying power. I begin to feel that I need you, and this enthralls me and enrages me all at once. If you will have me, I shall not push you away again. Stay with me tonight, Legion. Let us be together in earnest. Let me savor the unfamiliar fear that goes with this trust.
All right, Viconia. I will stay with you.
A good morning to you. Or at least as close a morning as we come with these strange hours that we keep. I trust your exertions were worthwhile.
I enjoyed pleasing you as much as I enjoyed myself. I hope I stack up well enough against these Drow males of yours.
Ha! Drow males learn the arts, but most are timid, passive things. And you have a charming enthusiasm that surpasses even the ones who enjoy their role, I think. I am lucky, Legion, to have found you on the surface. To think that I would need to come so far, to such an alien place, to find someone that I could trust. You are not so terrible, Legion, for a male.
I think I understand what you mean, Viconia. And I thank you.
Ha! I am a terrible excuse for a drow. If my sister saw me melting before a male, they would flay my skin bare. But with you, it does not seem such a bad thing.
Tell me, did Gorion tell you many tales of the Underdark? Did he, perchance, mention some of the races that lived below?
He told a few tales, but not many. Tell me of these races if you wish to.
I am sure you have heard of the revolting Illithids. I understand on the surface they are referred to as mind flayers. an apt name for devourers of the mind. They are strange specimens, with an empire as mighty as the Drow. We forge treaties, but a single thought can bring their collapse when dealing with psionics. Negotiations with them are fraught with peril, as they would prefer you as a square meal rather than as an ambassador of goodwill. The thing that strikes you on first meeting is the eyes. Blank, ruby, white, and unblinking, and the 4 tentacles that dangle and twitch over the lamprey's mouth. Their skulls are striated like the contours of a man's brain, but it pulses like a sheep's bladder. The Illithid mind is a stranger landscape still. Their main goal is dominance of others, and they believe life with the elder brain is the highest form of being. That, and the delight they seem to get from cracking open your skull like a hen's egg and drinking everything swimming inside your head.
What else can you tell me?
The Kuatoa are a race of fishmen that form the other third of the Underdark civilized domains, cold, horrid creatures driven into the underground seas long ago. They are usually on good terms with Drow, but they hate us, as they loathe most everything. They despise sunlight and the surface dwellers that drove them from it. The Kuatoa will trade, but negotiations are fraught with danger. No one Kuatoan settlement is the same as the next. They are unstable and prone to profound suspicion. I've seen them swim across Lake Tresnewerthen, cresting and leaping. They appear to enjoy themselves. The speed was amazing. Easily a corsair's carrack at full sail. The first sign of the Kuatoa is the reek of dead fish. Head away from the water if they need to survive. Risking a fight is to flirt with the cold maiden.
All I ever wanted to know about the Underdark, and far more besides.
These things are known to all Drow, easily. I am sure there was equally much you could tell me about surface creatures.
I hope this is worth it.
Do your people have any kind of rite of passage into adulthood? I'm curious.
Nothing formal usually. The normal rite is an act with which you and I are recently familiar with, but it does vary with some cultures.
The Drow have a more formal ritual, though it does vary from place to place. The blooding must be performed by both sexes upon reaching the age of maturity. The young must hunt down and kill an intelligent surfacer, preferably of the adventurer's cloth. My house insisted on the head of a holy warrior, so I brought my matron mother the head of one Kilgind Sigandurba, a priest of some cult and a man about the frontier. He thought me a beggar seeking guidance. He was surprised when he learned I was Drow, but not as much as when I used his own holy mace to cave his forehead.
And this made you an adult?
It gained me respect in a society ruled by cruelty and ambition. I had lain with the male long before, many times, in fact. That is no measure of a Drow. And the act pleased Loth. Pleasing the Spider Queen was our ethos and our mantra, girding ourselves to conquer other races.
You don't still believe in all that, do you?
The Drow wish to rule, as do Kuatoa, even Illithids, but our feet are clay. We distrust each other almost more than other races, and that is our weakness.
Are you aware that, despite our intimacies, I know little of you, other than the usual graces? You've mysteries in you, and secrets. That face holds tales in its creases.
What about the times before the life? Before the endless travel? Days in the dark, and the death at your heels? Who was your closest ally then?
Gorion. Wise man, good teacher, and greater friend.
Why do you consider him such a good teacher and close friend?
Gorion was patient. He had the patience of a true-born parent. Without him, I don't know what would have become of me.
If only we all had such advantages. The blood of a god and a kindly guiding hand.
Have you given any thought to what you will do once this whole business is over with?
I'm not sure. I was hoping to be somewhere with you, however.
You flatter me, Legion. I hope that those are not just empty words you are spilling purely for my benefit, however. I have thought of the future myself. With little ambition, I see us carving an empire, ruling a small kingdom, and living in the hedonistic luxury we were meant to.
That doesn't sound like such a bad idea.
It is little more than an idle fantasy, really. It is good to see that you have a little desire, however. Perhaps that is something I can work on.
It's a cold and dreary day when the thumb can't extend a bit of hospitality to his guests. Come.
Let's stop and rest now, are we? I suppose that is good and well, as I am exhausted nearly to the point of dropping. Come then, my Mirandicins, and let us get our coupling over with quickly.
If you are too tired, Viconia, there is certainly no need for us to lie together.
I may be tired, but I look forward to showing the arts I learned as a Drow. I hold a degree of affection for you, Legion. How else am I supposed to show this?
You do not need to lie with me to show your affection, Viconia. Nothing is expected of you.
An odd thing to say. If I had no male to service me in the Underdark, I slept alone. I am unfamiliar with this. How else would you show affection?
Here, let us hold each other tonight only, and I will show you.
As you wish, Legion. I feel uncomfortable with this arrangement, but I suppose that some rest is not uncalled for.
Before settling in for the night, we find a book that both Viconia and our hero find interesting. It details some of the history of Viconia's patron goddess, Shar. History of the Sisters of Light and Darkness. This was the birth of the world and the heavens. After Lord Ao created realm space, there was a period of timeless nothingness. A misty realm of shadows before light and dark were separate entities. Within the dim chaos stalked 13 lords of the shadow, the Shadowvari. Whether they came from elsewhere or are children of the shadow itself, none can say. Eventually, the primordial essence coalesced into twin beautiful goddesses who were yin and yang to each other. They were so close they thought themselves as one being. The two-faced goddesses created the heavenly bodies from the crystal sphere and together infused them with life to form the Earth Mother Shantia. Although Shantia had since contracted her essence to encompass only Abiral Torel, in the beginning she embodied all matter in realm space. This new universe was lit by the face of the silver-haired goddess who called herself Saloon, and the darkened by the welcoming tresses by the raven-haired goddess Shar. But no heat or fire existed within it. Shantia begged for warmth so that she could nurture life and living creatures upon the planets that were her body and limbs, and the two sisters who were one became divided, as for the first time they were of two minds. Silvery Saloon contested with her dark sister over whether or not to bring further life into the worlds. During this great conflagration, the gods of war, disease, murder, and death, among others, were created from residues of the deific battle. At one point during the battle, Saloon seized the advantage and reached across time and space to a land of eternal fire. Fighting the pain of the blaze which burned her sorely, she broke off a fragment of that ever-living flame and ignited one of the heavenly bodies so that it burned in the sky and warmed Shantia. Incensed, Shar redoubled her attack on the injured twin and began to snuff out all light and heat throughout the crystal sphere. Again, Saluna gave herself and tore the divine essence of magic from her body, flinging it desperately at her sister in defense of life in the sphere. This essence entered Shar, ripped an equal portion of energy from her, and reformed behind her as the goddess of magic known now as Mistra, but then as Mistrel. Though Mistrel was composed of both light and dark magic, she favored her first mother Saloon initially, allowing the silver goddess to win an uneasy truce with her more powerful dark twin. Consumed by bitterness at her defeat, Shar vowed eternal revenge. The twin goddesses contested for eons as life struggled into existence on Toril. and the other planets under Shantia's watchful gaze. Shar remained powerful but bitterly alone, while Saloon waxed and waned in power, often drawing strength from her allied daughters and sons and like-minded immigrant deities. Over time, Shar grew strong again, aided by the Shadavari, who preferred night to blinding light, and who stalked the realms seeking to meld light and dark into shadowy chaos once again. Shar's plot to reform the world after her own desires was undone when Azoth, the High One, formerly the greatest of all mortal spellcasters and now consort to Mystra, incarnate successor to Mistral, found a way to imprison the Shadavari in a pocket-sized crystal sphere located beyond the edges of the world by creating the illusion of a realm of shadows. The Lords of Shadow were drawn to investigate, and before they discovered the trick, Azoth imprisoned the Shadavari within the Shadow Star, a key of shadows forged by Gond. The High Lord then hurled the key into the endless reaches of the cosmos, allowing life to flourish on in Shantia's loving hands.
Is it time to awaken already?
I must admit, Legion, that I slept more deeply than I have in some time. I have not felt safer in a long time than I did in your arms. A unique experience.
I hold you in too high regard to think of you as here only to service my pleasure, Viconia. You are far more than that.
I have nothing to answer that with, Legion. Thank you for your consideration. But if you think I will become teary and weak, you are foolish indeed. Come, let's move before we are beset by something more sinister than squirrels and rats.
I have an odd feeling. I do not think I have ever felt like this before.
What kind of feeling?
I am not sure. As a drow, we grow to have a natural tendency to feel rock and to feel magic. And this has similarities to both within it. It is almost as if a dark whisper is traveling over Faerun, searching, seeking out something. I fear it is looking for me.
Are you sure? What makes you think that?
It has the stink of Loth. She is spinning her web, Legion. She is looking for me. Why now? Why? No. There it goes. The feeling has vanished. But that does not mean that it will not return. I am suddenly quite cold inside.
Do not worry, Viconia. I am here to protect you.
A somewhat comforting thought, Legion. I am sure, somehow, that it will take more than brave words on your part if my fear proves to be true.
Viconia has warned us about the vengeful nature of Loth. She cannot seem to escape the Spider Queen's wrath despite living on the surface for the past several years. Viconia has had to be self-reliant, along with finding strength through faith in Shar. Perhaps, by harboring Viconia, we too are targets of the Underdark's horrors.
Feeling. It is back again, but stronger this time. I can feel the ripples of the Dweomer. Black whispers from the depths of the abyss. She has found me! She has found me! Victory shall be ours. You know this.
Oh, glory for the Dark Mother!
Let's do this quick and pain.
That sort of psychic rape by a hound from the depths of the abyss is the sort that I simply will not tolerate. My head feels as if it is barely connected to my body.
What was that thing?
That was a handmaiden of Loth and a yokel, gated assassins. To think that she would go to such efforts to gather me up, it is almost beyond belief. Why would she come after me now? After all this time? Why now? Has she grown bored with my escapades? Or is there some other reason? And what will she do to take me next? The Spider Queen is not so easily dissuaded. I despise this terror that threatens to swallow me.
If she sends more, I'll deal with them the same as I did these. Do not worry.
Easily and bravely said, Legion. But Loth is no creature to be trifled with. I must think. Please leave me for a while.
Back away from me, you pathetic fool. Do not cast your eyes upon me. I told you to let me be, Iblis. I am so insipid and moronic that you cannot understand such simple instruction.
Again, you turn suddenly hostile. What happened to your promise?
To the deepest pit of the abyss with my promise. I shall do as I like. And you ignorant male, you are an affront to me. I wish this had never been.
Why do you turn your head? Those are tears in your eyes. Why are you saying these things to me? Why?
I just leave me be, Legion. Just leave me be.
We must talk.
This is not working between us. It will never work. And I think you know this. There can be only one outcome. It can only end poorly.
Why do you say this?
Sooner or later I will fail you, or you will fail me, or Loth will capture me, or I will cause your death. I am Drow, and you are not. There is no happy ending here. We must poison our hearts, my Cyrenig. We must do what is necessary and cleave us apart before it is too late, and I cannot stay.
I won't allow that, Viconia. There can be a future for us if we both try.
But why? Why would you wish to have me stay when you know this is doomed? Doomed as my own black heart is doomed. Do not do this to yourself, Legion.
I want you to stay because I love you, Viconia. Because if you leave, I would die without you.
I love you, too, Legion, in my fashion.
But that is not enough, is it?
I regret that I am not a creature who can feel things as you do. The capacity is just not within. I almost wish it were. But darkness and loss are my callings. Shar knows only too well.
Is there no way for you to stay, even if we are not together?
There is no way, Legion. You know that.
But I need you here in the party, even if we are not together. I cannot succeed without your strength.
I suppose I am being selfish. You are on a quest of great importance to you, and my leaving would be more than an inconvenience, perhaps. Very well, Legion. It shall be difficult to stay by your side, but I will. But there is nothing further between us, and we part once your task is complete. This is the way it must be, if I am to help you. I am sorry, Legion. In my own way, I do love you. Let us go now and put this behind us.
This is perhaps the first time I could say with certainty that Viconia acted on the behalf of others rather than herself. Viconia knows that the goddess Loth will not stop hounding her, and that our hero's mission shapes the future of Faerun. If Viconia were to leave the party, then she only exposes herself to the dangers of the world and the assassins of Loth. Her love for the hero compels her to make the sacrifice and become a true neutral character where once she had been a chaotic evil alignment. Alignments in Dungeons & Dragons are not easily changed. Significant alterations in belief and action are required for a shift in alignment. There was significant risk that Viconia had to have been aware of, since she could have lost the protection of Shar, her chosen deity, if she was of the wrong alignment. Fortunately for Viconia, Shar does not necessarily care if you are neutral or evil, only that they hold to the goddess's tenets and requests. But I believe that Viconia's suggestion to leave the party was genuine, and the results were accepted by her long before saying anything. Viconia's decision to prevent issues in the party is a sign of self-sacrifice. The scene is flipped from when we first found her in Baldur's Gate 2. Instead of murdered by a mob who acted on fear to save themselves, now Viconia has offered to sacrifice herself for the needs of others. We convince Viconia that continuing on is impossible without her. Her powers as a cleric are the best in game, and in addition to having affection for her, we know that she is a powerful ally worth having just for future campaigns where her talent are second to none. The events of Baldur's Gate 2 come to a close, and we continue our saga as the Child of Baal. When I was recording the playthrough for the Throne of Baal DLC, I could not understand why there was suddenly no banter between most of my party members and our hero. I was playing on the enhanced edition of the game, so I wasn't sure if it had been coded differently than how I remembered. I nearly completed the entire campaign before I realized that there was something wrong with the save profiles that essentially neutralized the companion's feelings towards the player character. I had to go into the files and manually change Viconia's status from neutral to love interest in order to show the continuation of her story. I apologize now for any missed content, but the essence of the stories will be discussed at the end of the DLC storyline, and then we will discuss the possible events that lead us into Baldur's Gate 3. So consider this as your warning for spoilers if you haven't played Baldur's Gate 3. The video took a tremendous amount of time that I was not expecting. I appreciate everyone that has been supportive and asked about it. Thank you once again, and if the content is something you enjoy, then please consider subscribing to the channel. The events of Baldur's Gate 2 come to an end, thanks in large part due to our allies and companions. However, the story does not end there. There are many other Baal spawn, and some have decided to ally so as to more effectively eradicate the remaining children of Baal. Volo is a bard that we have previously encountered and offers to give us insight into the future of some of our companions. We ask about Viconia, and he has some interesting things to say. Ah, the fierce and deadly servant of Shar has achieved a sort of immortal fame enjoyed by only one other Drow in Faerun. And while Drizzt Do'Urden is a hero of the first magnitude, Viconia's name will forever be uttered with hushed respect. None of Shar's faithful have ever been more feared.
A worthy description, perhaps. Though the other Drow you mentioned is nothing compared to me, and deserves no mention when I am the topic of discussion. But it is your manuscript, yes?
We draw close to the end, don't we? Very soon now, your final destiny will be in your hands.
Yes, very close now.
Good. Then I have only one thing I wish to say to you, my Miranda sins. I want you to be strong. I want you to be merciless. Be the Lord of Murder, if you must, but bring terror into Melisandre's heart. Send her screaming to her death. You deserve nothing less, and I expect nothing less from you. Whatever comes to me matters not. We shall decide our fate afterwards, if it comes to that. But, in case something unforeseen does occur, let me hold you for one moment, Legion. Let us kiss as if for the last time, so that I may remember this even if nothing else. There. Now, my marvelous terror of a man. Now we must go and finish this.
So, you are stronger than even I imagined. So be it. Your destiny versus mine. Let's finish this now once and for all. To the victor go the spoils!
Although this is the story of Viconia, it is important to understand where the events of the Throne of Baal will take her future. Solar explains.
Enough, Amelason. The gods have decreed this contest is over.
No! I am a god! This is not over until I say it is!
You are no god, priestess of Baal. You play with stolen energies that make you immortal, that give you great power. But that does not make you a god.
The Ballspawn has not won! I refuse to believe it! Oh, I would die first!
But you cannot die, so long as the essences are within you. Even now, however, they struggle to flee from your weakened frame. You are defeated, and destiny belongs to the victor.
No! No! I will kill you all!
You will do nothing, Amelason, but accept your fate. The time that was mentioned has come, Godchild. There is a choice before you. You have prevailed against all that have assailed you, and now you must decide your fate. The vast majority of the soul essences of the children of Baal, Lord of Murder, now belong to you, and you alone. You must now decide what to do with this power. Be wise. The choice is irrevocable. First, you may choose to surrender that portion of the essence which remains with you. It shall be given to Amelason, and her soul, with all the essence it contains, shall be destroyed. Surrendering the essence will allow the gods to remove its evil taint and hide it well within the halls of Mount Celestial, forever preventing it from soiling further souls. You, Ballspawn, would be made immortal, free to continue your life with a destiny of your own choosing. The manipulations of gods will no longer be your concern, and your soul will be untainted. Once Amelison's soul is destroyed and the essence released, you may accept it into yourself if you want it, and the Throne of Baal will be yours to command. You have fought against the taint of your father with great vigilance. It is most impressive. Impressive enough that I would be willing to remain by your side. The power you may claim will bring new enemies, and the attentions of evil gods such as Cyric, who usurped your sire's godly role by the Edict of Al, the Overfather. I will fight by your side and help you achieve whatever destiny awaits in the plains. Your future is unknown even to the gods, although it will certainly be a great one. The choice is difficult, but these are your two options, Ballspawn. This is where your destiny is realized, and your future begins.
Victory comes to you at long last, my Sinzrig. It has been an epic struggle, worthy of many tales. You must be pleased, although your choice now cannot be an easy one.
It is at this juncture that our hero must decide, accept the essence of Baal, or have it destroyed. We asked Viconia for her opinion. What do you think I should do, Viconia?
I should expect that you would take the power offered by your blood. To do anything else would be an expression of maudlin weakness. And I expect far more from you, Legion. I knew once that our relationship was an impossible one, and having allowed myself to since be swayed otherwise, but it still holds true. Even you know this now, correct? If you gave up your heritage, what would we do? Where would we go? What if it was not satisfactory for you? Would you not blame me in the end for keeping you from your power? I will not be responsible for that. As much as part of me might wish you to remain with me, my Sinistrig, I will be just as pleased to know that you have achieved the power you deserve. It is not easy for my kind to admit such things, so let me just say it now and be done with it. I love you, Legion. You are a magnificent male. worthy beyond all measure. Now choose as you should.
The time has come to make your choice, Ballspawn. What is your wish?
We will select both options to find out what future our hero has with Viconia. I do not want the essence of Ball. Do what you will with it. I want to remain mortal.
Then you shall begin life anew, mortal, without the taint of your sire upon your soul, and the essence of Ball shall forever be hidden. You have done well, and freedom shall be your reward.
I think it is a mistake, my foolish Sinsrig, to give up such power. But I look forward to a life with you. Perhaps it will be a good thing, you and I. Yes?
Your decision has been made, Godchild. Now the act must be carried out. Prepare yourself.
I will retain the essence of Ball. That is my right, and become a power of the plains.
As you wish. You have proven to us all that the power in your blood is yours to command. It does not command you. I shall be proud to stand by you in a place of power among the heavens.
Yes. Go on to your greater destiny, my Sinsrig. Be a terror of a power. Be remembered by us all.
Your decision has been made, Godchild. Now the act must be carried out. Prepare yourself.
If we choose mortality with Viconia, the end credits tell us Legion and Viconia continued adventuring long after leaving Tether. He became an important political figure, and she was his entrusted counsel. Eventually, Viconia bore Legion's child, which first served to strain their relationship. The birth, however, changed her, and she dedicated herself to raising the boy, teaching him both the ways of the Drow and of Legion's people. She marveled at the understanding in his eyes, but unfortunately didn't live to see him grow. Viconia was poisoned by a servant of Loth, her last words whispered to her loving mate in private. Legion raised his son in secret, and tales vary on the result. Some say they waged a crusade against the Drow, but all agree that the former child of Ball never forgot the love of his dark maiden. The next narrative is the scenario if our hero chooses godhood, and I want to stress the importance of this pathway as it seems to be the one that Larian has chosen to incorporate into the lore of the Baldur's Gate series. Please pay close attention to the events that Viconia is said to have been part of. No longer with Legion, Viconia went on to found a cult dedicated to Shar in the city of Waterdeep. One of her followers betrayed her, however, prompting the slaughter of the whole tainted lot. Shar admonished Viconia strongly for this, but she was unrepentant and again wandered the realms. Viconia was still formidable and went on to prevent an attempt by the Knights of the Shield to take over Calimport, and even worked with Drizzt Do'Urden to save the elven city of Soldanesalar from a Zhentarim plot. For this last act, the elves accepted her, and Queen Elisime bestowed the highest honors of the Seldarine, an accolade never given to one of her dark kind. Viconia reportedly bowed once without emotion and then left. Her fate remains unknown. Baldur's Gate 3 is the latest addition to the series and has expanded the lore of many of the characters from the original series. Unknown to us, Viconia plays a significant part in the new story. We are not given many clues that she is indeed a motivational force behind one of our main companions, but her influence cannot be denied once Viconia's identity is revealed. We are told that Viconia is now the Mother Superior of the Shar cult in Baldur's Gate. When we left the events of Baldur's Gate 2, we are told that there was a significant rift between Shar and Viconia. Viconia does elaborate on this discrepancy, so I will not classify this as retcon. However, I also do not believe that her story was ever fully fleshed out in Baldur's Gate 3, so as to provide the weight needed for the reveal impact for new players. I made a recent video showing an alternate method of handling the Viconia confrontation since I was such a fan of the original character. I did not want to pursue a simple Shar, Viconia, and all Sharites are bad and must be purged point of view. I saw an opportunity for Viconia to rejoin our fight, and I took it. Many of the comments tried to remind me of the loot that I was missing by simply not dispatching Viconia. I can assure everyone that when I post videos such as this one, I have exhausted several different playthroughs using a variety of options. I was very aware of the loot that Viconia had, and how it could be beneficial for the remainder of the game. There were also many comments about Viconia's physical appearance in Baldur's Gate 3. Let me be clear. I was not upset or disappointed in her character model in the game. I was simply overjoyed to find out that her story continued in some fashion, but I can also understand where some of the opinions have merit. The Drow are bred to be supernaturally beautiful, and seduction is simply a weapon that they have honed to absolute precision. I would not have been surprised if Larian had made Viconia the most beautiful NPC in the game, because it would have been consistent with her lore. Viconia's appearance also seems to reflect that of a much older Drow, which is not necessarily true. She was at least 100 years old in Baldur's Gate 2, and since the events in Baldur's Gate 3 were roughly 124 years after, then Viconia could not have been any older than 250 or 300 years old. If Larian is suggesting that the maximum life of a Drow is 500 years, then she would be, at most, equivalent of a 60-year-old. However, Drow can live up to almost a millennium. Viconia is extremely powerful and wise. I have no doubt that if any Drow could live to be 900 or older, it would be Viconia. If we split the difference and say that Drow lived to be 750 years of age, then Viconia is in her prime, between a human's equivalency of 35 to 40. I can give Larian the road if the story leading up to Baldur's Gate 3 meant that Viconia had suffered tremendous age-inducing stress through Shar, but that was never explored or addressed. What was Viconia thinking? Why would she seemingly turn back to a version of herself that was even worse than what Loth had subjected her to? There are a lot of missing pieces when it comes to the events between Baldur's Gate 2 and 3. However, if we examine the facts that Viconia was in love with the hero of Baldur's Gate 2 and promised to be the foremost priestess of his church, we can sympathize with her when the only person or deity that never betrayed her was no longer accessible. Imagine the concept of a long Drow life living on the surface without protection, encouragement, or consideration. Viconia seems to have had almost no choice if she chose survival, but to gravitate again to her dark goddess Shar that had previously provided her with powerful cleric abilities. But is Viconia evil? Is she deserving of a quick, swift death simply for being a Sharite? She is the reason behind one of our companions' separation from a childhood raised by Selûnite parents. What was Viconia trying to achieve? Let's find out.
You seek to be unburdened, yes? The mapping of the heart can reveal the way. Yet, there is another here whose need is great.
That voice. Allow me. I think I'm supposed to do this.
Do you know why you are here?
There is something I lost. No. Had taken from me. My family. My life. I want it all back.
Loss is a gift, girl. Do you still not understand that? Now give me the true answer. What is your purpose in being here? I am the one who asks the questions. She is the one who answers. You are the one who remains silent. Now, if all our roles are clear, answer me. What is your true purpose?
The artifact. I was sent to retrieve it. At any cost.
And who tasked you with this mission?
The Mother Superior of It's you.
Give me the honor of my name. In full.
I can't. My memories...
I know what's in that head of yours better than you do, girl. My name.
Mother Superior... Viconia DeVir.
You still have the wits to recognize your betters. Good. Now descend. You have much to answer for.
An astral projection? Very clever. I'll stay on my toes round this one.
They already heard how you disgraced yourself before Lady Shah. How she marked you as the enemy. But it is quite another thing for them to see it for themselves. I am very glad you decided to return. A cautionary tale such as yours will be studied by Lady Shah's initiates for years to come. But perhaps I can make a case for some small measure of mercy. Give me the artifact, and I can at least make this quick.
Enough. I don't answer to you. Not anymore. I'm here for my family. That's right. I know what you did. And it's not going to be quick.
This is your family. And now you have turned your back on it. The artifact was your last chance to prove yourself. And you squandered it. Whispers reached my ears from all corners. Potential rivals of Lady Shah, all vying for the same prize. A new god, amassing the disaffected, the outcasts. Those who should turn to us. This absolute is but an upstart, disturbing the natural order and threatening to impede the glorious return of Lady Shah's pure, endless darkness. I had to act. I had to strangle that foul conspiracy while it was still in the cradle. We learned all we could. The artifact was the one thing the absolutists feared. The one thing they desperately wanted to keep out of their enemy's grasp. I had to have it. Lady Shah's concerns lie elsewhere, with another. But she is a goddess. She can afford to ignore that which does not threaten her. I must keep her faith alive in mortal hearts. I must defend her ways, lead her children, stop all threats. Even if I must go against her wishes, I will prove myself her most loyal servant.
Shah doesn't care. She was always going to use you and discard you. But now I'm going to deal with you first.
You there! Surrender this one to me now, and you can consider Lady Shah's forces your allies in the battles to come. As you like. Lilala! For Shah! Finish it. Send me to Lady Shah's embrace.
She still has answers I need. My parents. Where are they?
So blunt? Have you forgotten all the interrogation techniques I taught you? Where is the finesse?
Answer me!
They are right through that door in the Chamber of Loss. where they have been all along. You saw them many times, only we made you forget. But they didn't forget. They watched as we molded you. They watched, they wept, they bled, often at your hand. It may not be a happy reunion, but it will be a memorable one.
Why? Why me? Why all this effort?
Lady Shar commanded me, and I obeyed. I do not question. I merely act as she wills me to. I had an enclave in Waterdeep, you know. Much grander than this. Shar ordered me to raise it. Kill all who followed me. Claim they betrayed me. When in fact, I slew those who showed nothing but loyalty. Shar had me do that. And I did. To cover my tracks. To usher in you.
What are you talking about?
You became my mission. To take a child of Selûne's and turn her over to Lady Shar. To show that all light fades and darkness will prevail in the end. All this was to make you into what the Dark Lady needed you to be. The planning, the training, those deaths in Waterdeep. It was all to groom you to replace me at her right-hand side. And still you threw it away.
I want to see my parents. And I don't care what happens to this one. She's been in my head long enough already. Do what you like. I know you'll choose well.
What are you doing? Come back and finish this yourself. You owe me that.
Let go, Mother. Embrace loss.
I'm adept at it. Aluve.
Let go, Mother. Embrace loss.
I draw near, my lady.
We learn that the events did not happen as we were told in Baldur's Gate 2. It was said that Viconia was betrayed, and that led to the death of the entire Sharite cult in Waterdeep. She clarifies what happened in our final conversation. Shar demanded absolute obedience, and any Sharite that did not perform to the Dark Goddess's standard was eradicated. The request could not be ignored or negotiated if Viconia had to prove her loyalty to Shar. It may have been possible that Shar was ensuring that Viconia held no weaknesses in faith, and to demonstrate devotion over any other deity, including the former Ball-spawned love. Because within the Shar faith, there is no room for love and attachments. Shar knows that love is like gravity and pulls towards itself and away from any other influence. In order to love, one must trust. And I began the video with a quote from Viconia: "Trust is for the foolish and the dead."
Viconia goes on to tell us that she was commanded by Shar to turn a Selûnite to the darkness. By stealing Shadowheart's parents and keeping them alive to torture, sometimes by Shadowheart, Viconia was able to gauge if Shadowheart retained any memory of her parents, so that love could not interfere with the end conversion to a full-fledged Sharite. Consider this. Under the same circumstances, Loth would have asked Viconia to kill Shadowheart as a child and have her family dispatched without reservation. The Drow, after all, hate surface elves more than any other race. Given the situation, what parent would not accept the role that Shadowheart's parents did to ensure that their daughter would remain alive, and understood that if they tried to remind her of who she was, that would only result in Shadowheart's murder for not being able to forget and unlove her past. On top of all this, Viconia took direct measures to ensure the training of Shadowheart to not just be a Sharite acolyte, but to replace Viconia when the time came to do so. Viconia had, for the third time, offered herself for the sake of another, and why I still believe Viconia is worth saving. I have a lot more to say about this, but that would get into the main story spoilers, and I have probably spoiled too much for you already. But before we go, let me review this book that was found in Baldur's Gate 3. It's called The Unclaimed. It is a book about a cleric of Shar that will hopefully give some context about my concern about Viconia and her future. The Unclaimed. The steadily bound story of a cleric of Shar whose soul was never claimed from the City of Judgment. In life, her service had been impeccable. Daily did she devote herself to the Lady of Loss. Daily did she free herself from the tyranny of memory. All in time was lost to her. Her relations, her preferences, even her own name. Upon the altar of her devotion placed she the ultimate offering, her emptied mind. And when she died, when she awoke in death and found herself standing in the pale and faded City of Judgment, she waited for the Lady of Loss to retrieve her. 1,000,000 souls and more passed her in colorless gusts, but no hand materialized in her hand. No voice whispered instruction in her ear. No guidance proffered itself from the bleached and barren sky. Time, immaterial time, passed round her like air, coming and going. And still the goddess did not come for her devotee. Kelemvor pitied her as much as the Lord of the Dead is able, but could not intervene. This cleric of the Lady of Loss, unclaimed despite her worthiness, might yet have one more lesson to learn, that of not forgetting, but being forgotten. Thank you very much, everyone. I know it was a long video and it took a long time to make, but it was a labor of love for my favorite NPC in the Baldur's Gate series. If you have comments about Viconia or any other Baldur's Gate NPC, tell me about it in the comments, and we always appreciate interaction with the videos from our viewers. Leaving likes, comments, and subscribing to the channel do a lot more than you realize. Once again, thank you everyone. Until next time.
I guess that's the end.
Yeah, you did real good.